So picture this. You sneak into a room. It is the dead of night.
Right, very dark.
Yeah, exactly. Your goal is to steal a famous diamond necklace. It is in a wall safe. So you bypass the security system.
Okay.
You crack the combination. You pull the heavy steel door open. You reach inside. And, well, the safe is completely empty.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The necklace was moved yesterday. You did not steal a single thing. You leave the building empty-handed.
Right.
So did you just commit a crime? I mean, on the surface, no harm was done. No property was taken at all.
Sure, that makes sense.
But if you were taking the multi-state bar exam, the MBE, that empty safe is a one-way ticket to prison.
It really is.
So today we are taking a deep dive into exactly why that is. Welcome to the deep dive. We know you're studying hard for the MBE. Our mission today is simple. We will master inchoate offenses, and we will use very simple English.
Yes, that empty safe story is a perfect starting point.
Right.
Usually the law waits for a bad result. The law waits before it steps in, someone gets punched, a car gets stolen, a building burns down.
The bad thing actually happened.
Exactly. But inchoate offenses break that normal pattern. The law does not wait. The law steps in early.
Early, like before the crime.
Yes. The law punishes the dangerous thoughts. It punishes the early plans inside your head. It does this long before the actual harm occurs.
Wow. Okay, let's unpack this. First, we need to define the word.
Right.
The word is inchoate. What does this word actually mean?
It means incomplete. It means something is just starting.
Okay, incomplete.
Right. In criminal law, an inchoate crime happens before a more serious crime is finished.
Got it.
You take the very early steps toward causing harm, the law decides to stop you right there.
So, I mean, why does the law do that? Why punish people for crimes they haven't even finished yet?
Well, the law wants to protect society. It wants to stop harm before it happens.
That makes sense.
These early steps are dangerous. They are considered complete crimes all by themselves, even if the final bad act never happens.
Okay, I see. So the sources give us three big ones. The big three.
Yes, the big three.
There are solicitation, attempt, and conspiracy.
Exactly. Those are the three.
We will look at all of them. But first, we need to look at a big picture rule.
A very important rule.
This is a major MBE alert. You need to
Yeah.
write this down. We're talking about the merger rule.
Yes, the concept of merger.
What does merger mean here?
Well, we have to look at history. In the past, under common law, inchoate offenses were minor. They were just misdemeanors.
Like small crimes.
Right. And the completed crimes were major. They were felonies.
Okay.
So if you tried to do a major crime and you actually finished it, the minor crime merged. It disappeared into the big crime.
It just went away.
Yes. You could only be convicted of the big crime.
But the rule is different now, right? For the modern test.
Yes. The modern rule is crucial. It is different for the big three. Let us start with conspiracy.
Okay, conspiracy.
Conspiracy does not merge anymore.
Wait, really? It does not merge.
No. It stands alone. Let us say you plot to rob a bank. Then you actually rob the bank. You can be convicted of two-way crimes.
Conspiracy and robbery.
Exactly. Conspiracy and robbery. You get punished for both.
Wow. Okay, let me use a shopping analogy here.
Go for it.
Conspiracy is like buying an extra item at the store. You buy a shirt, you buy some shoes, you pay for both. You keep both.
That is a great way to think about it.
What about the other two? Attempt and solicitation.
Attempt and solicitation, DO, merge.
Okay, so they disappear.
Right. You cannot be convicted of both attempt and the main crime. You cannot be convicted of solicitation and the main crime.
Okay, back to my shopping analogy. Attempt is like upgrading your item. You want a small coffee.
Yep.
You upgrade to a large coffee.
Right.
You only pay for the large coffee.
Yeah.
The small coffee merges into the large one.
Exactly. You only get one conviction.
But wait, I need to push back on this.
Okay.
Why is conspiracy treated differently? If attempt merges, why doesn't conspiracy merge?
That is a fundamental question. It is because groups are dangerous.
Groups of people.
Yes. The law views a group of criminals as a special danger to society. Groups are stronger. They share the work. They pressure each other. I see.
So the law punishes the group planning as its own special danger. The conspiracy is an extra evil.
Got it. So listen closely. This is an MBE stress point. Write this exact phrase down. Conspiracy does not merge.
Yes, memorize that. It will save you points.
Okay, let's move to section 2. We are going to talk about solicitation.
Yes, the first of the big three.
I call this one asking for trouble. What are the elements of solicitation?
It is very simple. It means inciting, urging, or commanding someone else to commit a crime.
Basically asking someone to break the law.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
but it requires specific intent.
What does that mean in simple English?
You must truly want the other person to commit the crime. You must mean it.
So what if I am just joking?
A general joke is not enough. Simple approval is not enough either. You must have the specific intent for the crime to happen.
Okay, so let's say I am serious. I ask someone to rob a store for me. When is the crime of solicitation actually finished?
This is a surprising fact. The crime is finished the exact second the words leave your mouth. Wait, really? The exact second?
Yes.
What if the other person says no? What if they just walk away?
It does not matter. The other person does not even have to say yes. The crime is already done.
Wow. That is incredibly fast. Let's talk about defenses. Can you defend against a solicitation charge?
It is very hard. Let us look at factual impossibility.
Okay, what is that?
It means a secret fact stops the crime, but it is NO defense for solicitation.
The sources use an undercover cop example, right?
Yes. Let's say you ask an undercover cop to commit a crime. You think they are a real criminal.
But they are a cop. They will never do the crime.
Right. It is factually impossible. But you are still guilty of solicitation.
Because I thought they were a real criminal.
Exactly. Your guilt is based on what you believed the facts were.
Okay. What about withdrawal? What if I take it back? I say, never mind, do not do it.
At common law, that is generally no defense. Once the words are spoken, you are guilty.
Wow. Even if I say I am sorry.
Yes. But the Model Penal Code, the MPC, is a bit different. The MPC says withdrawal can be a defense, but only if you actually prevent the crime from happening.
So I have to physically stop them.
Yes, or successfully convince them not to do it. Just saying never mind is not enough if they go do it anyway.
Okay. Let's look at a defense that does work. The sources mention exemption.
Yes, exemption is a valid defense.
How does that work?
Sometimes a law is made to protect a certain group of people.
Give me an example.
The law against statutory rape protects minors. So imagine a minor female asks an adult male to have sex with her.
She's asking him to commit a crime.
Yes, but she cannot be guilty of soliciting statutory rape.
Why not?
Because the law protects her. The law views her as a victim, not a criminal, so she is exempt.
That makes a lot of sense. Now wait, I have a question. Is solicitation the same as an attempt? They sound similar.
No, they are not the same. This is very important.
Okay, tell me why.
Solicitation is just asking. It is not an attempt to commit the crime itself.
Why did that matter?
It matters if a state does not have a solicitation law. Some states don't. If you just ask and the state has no solicitation law, you might not be guilty of anything.
Because asking is not an attempt.
Exactly. You cannot be charged with attempt just for asking.
Okay, let's recap solicitation for your notes. I will do this in 3 simple sentences.
Good idea.
1, solicitation is asking someone to do a crime with specific intent. 2, the crime is finished the second you ask. 3, factual impossibility is not a defense.
That is a perfect recap. Very clear.
Let's move to section 3. We are going to talk about conspiracy, the basics of the agreement.
This is a huge topic for the MBE.
Yes, it is. Let's look at the elements for common law conspiracy. What are they?
There are 3 main elements. First, an agreement between 2 or more people.
Okay, 2 or more people.
Second, an intent to enter the agreement. Third, an intent to achieve the objective.
Simple enough. What is the actual bad act? What do they physically do?
Under traditional law, the agreement itself is the act. Just making the deal is the crime.
But the modern rule is different, right?
Yes. Today, most states require an overt act in furtherance of the conspiracy.
An overt act? Like what?
It just means a small step. Mere preparation is enough.
So, buying a ski mask.
Yes, buying a mask is an overt act. It proves the plan is real.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Does the agreement have to be a formal contract? Do they have to shake hands?
No, not at all. Criminals do not sign contracts.
Right.
The agreement does not need to be spoken out loud. It can be implied.
Implied. How do you prove that?
It can be shown by people acting together over time. If they work together to reach a common goal, that shows an agreement.
Okay. And what about the goal? What are they agreeing to do?
At common law, the goal didn't even have to be a crime. It just had to be unlawful or against public welfare.
That seems really broad.
It was. Most states today changed it. Today, the goal usually has to be an actual crime.
Okay, that makes it clear. Now let's jump into section 4. Conspiracy complications. These are the MBE traps.
Yes, the examiners love multiple parties and multiple crimes.
Let's start with multiple crimes. Say 2 people agree to rob 1 bank a month for a year. That is 12 banks.
Okay.
How many conspiracies are there? 12.
No, just one.
Wait, why just 1? They were doing 12 robberies.
Because there was only one initial agreement. The agreement is the conspiracy. They agreed one time to do a series of bad acts.
Ah, I see. One agreement equals one conspiracy.
Exactly. Keep that in mind. Now, let's look at complex groups.
Like big criminal networks.
Yes, we look at two shapes, chain and hub and spoke.
Let's do the chain first.
Think of a drug ring. A smuggler sells to a wholesaler. The wholesaler sells to a street retailer.
They form a line, like a chain.
Right. Do they all know each other? No. But they all rely on each other for success, like links in a chain.
So is that one conspiracy?
Yes, this is one big conspiracy. They all need the chain to work.
Okay, now what about hub and spoke?
Think of a bicycle wheel. One person is the hub in the middle. Let's say a bank manager.
Okay, a corrupt manager.
He helps 3 different people get fake loans. The 3 people are the spokes.
Do the spokes know each other?
No, the 3 people do not know each other, and they do not care about each other's success.
Right, they just want their own fake loan.
Exactly. So in this case, this is 3 separate conspiracies. The hub has a separate agreement with each spoke.
I see, because the spokes don't rely on each other.
Exactly. No shared goal between the spokes.
Okay, now for a massive MBE stress point. Listen up. This is the undercover cop problem.
This is a huge trap.
Let's talk about the traditional rule first, the bilateral rule.
Bilateral means 2 sides. You need T2O guilty minds for a conspiracy.
Okay, so I plan a crime with someone, but my partner is an undercover cop.
Right. The cop does not have a guilty mind. The cop is just pretending.
So under common law, what happens?
Under common law, you cannot be convicted of conspiracy. You need 2 guilty minds. You only have one. Yours.
Okay, so the traditional rule is like playing tennis. You need 2 real players. If one is just a wall, it is not a tennis match.
That is a great analogy.
But what about the modern trend, the MPC rule?
The modern trend uses the unilateral rule. Unilateral means one side.
So you only need 1 guilty mind.
Exactly. If you mean to commit the crime, you are guilty, even if your partner is a cop.
Wow. So the modern rule is like hitting a ball against a wall. You can do it alone.
Yes, you can be guilty alone under the modern rule. You must read the test question carefully to see which rule they want.
Okay, let's keep moving. Section 5. Advanced MBE traps for conspiracy.
Yes, these are tricky. Let's look at the Wharton rule.
What is the Wharton rule?
If a crime naturally requires 2 people to commit it, you cannot charge them with conspiracy unless more than 2 people are involved.
A crime that naturally requires 2 people, like what?
Like a duel. You cannot duel alone, or adultery. You need 2 people.
Okay, so 2 people agree to duel.
Right, they agree. But they are not guilty of conspiracy to duel.
Why not?
Because the crime of dueling already punishes the agreement between 2 people. You need a 3rd person to make it a conspiracy.
I see, a +1. Okay, what about protected classes? We talked about this before.
Yes. If a law protects a group, a person from that group cannot be guilty of conspiracy for that crime.
Give me the historical example.
The Mann Act. It protects women from being transported across state lines for bad purposes.
Okay, so a woman agrees with a man to travel for a bad purpose.
Right. But the woman isn't legally guilty because the law protects her.
So the man is the only guilty mind.
Exactly. And under traditional law, 1 mind is not enough. So the man cannot be guilty of conspiracy.
So what does this all mean? Are these just legal loopholes?
No, they exist, to be fair. They ensure the law matches the actual intent of the legislature. The law shouldn't punish the person it's trying to protect.
That makes sense. Let's look at the acquittal rule.
At common law, you need 2 guilty minds. So if all your co-conspirators go to trial and are found not guilty,
They are acquitted,
yes. If they are acquitted, you cannot be convicted either.
even if I really did it.
Yes. The law says you cannot conspire with innocent people. If the court says they are innocent, your charge must be dropped.
That is wild.
Ah.
Okay, let's move to Section 6. Conspiracy mental state and ending the agreement.
We need to talk about intent. Conspiracy is a specific intent crime.
You must intend to agree, right?
Yes, and you must intend to achieve the goal.
What if the final crime is a strict liability crime?
Okay, strict liability means your intent doesn't matter for the final crime, like statutory rape.
Even if you make an honest mistake about age, you are guilty of the final crime.
Yes, but a conspiracy to commit a strict liability crime still requires specific intent.
All right, really? Explain that.
You must actually know the victim's age to be guilty of conspiracy to commit statutory rape.
Even though ignorance is no defense for the final crime.
Exactly. For conspiracy, you must specifically intend to break the exact law. If you don't know the facts, you can't intend the crime.
Oh, wow. That is a huge trick. Write that down. Conspiracy always needs specific intent.
Yes, always.
Now, when does a conspiracy end? Termination.
It ends when the goal is achieved, but hiding the crime later does not extend the conspiracy.
Like concealment. Burning the evidence.
Right. Concealment does not extend it unless they specifically agreed to hide it before they did the crime.
Like, we robbed the bank, and step 2 is hiding in the woods.
Yes. If it is part of the original plan, the conspiracy is still alive while they hide.
What if the police secretly step in and stop the crime?
The conspiracy is still alive for the criminals who don't know yet. They are still acting on the agreement.
Okay, now for a major rule. Liability for co-conspirators.
Yes, the
Yeah.
Pinkerton rule. You are guilty of all crimes your partners commit.
All of them, even if I didn't do it.
Yes. Two things are true. One, the crime was to further the conspiracy. Two, it was a foreseeable result.
A foreseeable result, a natural and probable consequence.
Exactly. If your partner shoots a guard during a robbery, you are guilty of murder too. It is foreseeable.
That is terrifying. How do I get out? How do I withdraw?
This is an MBE trap. Listen closely. Quitting is not a defense to the conspiracy itself.
It is not. But I quit.
Doesn't matter. You already made the agreement. You already did the overt act. The conspiracy crime is already done.
Then why ever withdraw?
To limit your future liability. You quit to avoid being blamed for future crimes your partners commit, like the murder.
Oh, I see. I want to stop Pinkerton liability.
Exactly. But you must take action to notify everyone in time. They must have time to stop the plan, too.
I can't just yell, I quit, and run away at the last second.
Right. That is too late.
Okay, we covered a ton of ground. I'm going to recap the trickiest conspiracy rules in simple English. Recap 2.
Sounds good.
1. The modern unilateral rule needs one guilty mind. The traditional bilateral rule needs 2. 2. The Wharton rule means you need an extra person if the crime naturally takes 2. 3. You cannot withdraw from the conspiracy charge itself, but you can withdraw to stop future liability if you do it in time.
Perfect recap. That covers the hardest traps.
We're doing great. Now let's enter section 7. Attempt. Almost crossing the line.
Yes, attempt. This requires 2 things. Specific intent to commit a crime and an overt act.
Specific intent again.
Yes. Attempt always needs specific intent.
What about logical impossibility? The sources mention this.
Yes. You cannot attempt a reckless or negligent crime.
Why not?
Because attempt means you are trying to do it on purpose. Reckless means you are not doing it on purpose. You are just being careless.
Ah, I see. You cannot intend to be reckless. That makes no sense.
Exactly. It is logically impossible.
Okay, what about the overt act for attempt? How far is too far?
There are 2 tests. The traditional test is the proximity test.
How does that work?
You must be dangerously close to success.
Dangerously close, like pointing a loaded gun at someone.
Yes. Just driving to their house is not enough under the old test.
But the modern test is different.
Yes. The majority rule, the MTC test, uses the substantial step test.
A substantial step.
Yes, you must take a substantial step that clearly proves your criminal purpose. This can happen much earlier.
Now, I need to push back here. Compare the overt act for conspiracy versus attempt. They use the same words.
That is a great point for the test. They are very different.
Tell me how.
For conspiracy, the overt act is just mere preparation, like renting a getaway car. Very small.
But for attempt.
For attempt, mere preparation is never enough. You need a substantial step or to be dangerously close. Attempt requires much more physical action.
Okay, write that down. Conspiracy acts are small. Attempt acts are big.
That will save you on the test.
Now for the final boss. Section 8. Attempt defenses. Factual versus legal impossibility. This is the ultimate MBE trap.
Yes, pay close attention. This is highly tested.
Let's start with legal impossibility. Is it a defense?
Yes. Legal impossibility, is a defense.
What does it mean?
It means you did every single thing you planned to do. But the law says your final action is still not a crime.
Give me an example.
The perjury example.
You try to commit perjury by having a witness lie about an affair in a divorce trial.
Okay, I have the intent to lie under... Right. But the divorce complaint never even mentioned that specific affair.
So the lie doesn't matter.
Exactly. It is not legally relevant. Since the lie isn't relevant to the legal complaint, it's not legally perjury.
So my clan succeeded, but the law doesn't care.
Right. You cannot attempt something that isn't a crime. You are not guilty.
Okay. What about factual impossibility? Is it a defense?
No, factual impossibility is not a defense. Never.
What does that mean?
It means you failed to finish the crime because of a physical fact you did not know.
Give me the examples from the text.
Reaching into an empty pocket to steal a wallet.
I can't steal a wallet if it isn't there.
Right, it is factually impossible, but you are still guilty of attempted larceny.
Wow. Any other examples?
Trying to rape someone you think is asleep, but they are actually dead.
You can't rape a dead body.
Right, but you are still guilty of attempted rape.
What's fascinating here is how the law works. The law gets inside the criminal's head.
Yes, that is the secret. Your guilt is judged by what you thought the facts were.
If I thought there was a wallet, I am guilty.
Exactly. If the facts were the way you believed them to be, would it be a crime? If yes, you are guilty.
That is a great rule of thumb. What about changing my mind? Abandonment.
The majority rule says abandoning the plan is never a defense once you cross the line into attempt.
Once I take the substantial step, it is too late.
Yes, you committed the attempt, the MPC allows it, but only if it is completely voluntary and a total renunciation of your criminal purpose. A complete change of heart.
Okay, let's lock this in. Recap 3. The difference between legal and factual impossibility. Legal impossibility is a valid defense. Your action is simply not a crime under the law.
Yes.
Factual impossibility is not a defense. You failed because of a secret physical fact. You are judged by the world you thought existed.
Perfect. Memorize that difference.
We did it. We are wrapping up. Congratulations on surviving the deepest, trickiest rules of inchoate offenses.
It is a lot of material.
It is. Just remember, these 3 crimes, solicitation, conspiracy, and attempt, they all punish the beginning of a crime.
They step in early.
Before we go, do you have a final provocative thought for the listener?
Yes. Think about how deeply the law cares about your thoughts.
Your thoughts.
Yes. Inchoate crimes prove that the law doesn't just judge what happens in the physical world.
Like broken windows or stolen cars.
Right. The law judges the dangerous ideas inside your mind. It judges the reality you believed existed, even if you were completely wrong.
You are punished for the world inside your own head.
Exactly. It is a powerful concept.
Wow. Good luck studying for the MBE. You can do this. Make sure to review your notes on impossibility and merger one more time. We will see you next time on the Deep Dive.